Welcome, Lumineers and fans of the happiest card game on Earth. We have some more information coming out of GAMA Festival, GAMA Convention that's happening this week in Reno, Nevada, including 3 new cards that we'll take a look at in a moment. But first of all, I want to talk about the presentation that they gave to game store owners. So GAMA is the Game Manufacturers Association, and they also have a convention every year called GAMA Expo, and that's what's taking place right now. This year it's in Reno, Nevada, and Ravensburger are there with Lorcana as part of the event. So they've had some gameplay nights, which is where we saw the cards from in the last episode, but also they've done a Q&A today for game store owners. So we're going to go over some of the new bits of information from that. First of all, it was relatively standard stuff that we've already seen for the most part. It's just sort of slides showing what the product is, what they plan to do with it, how it's going to be available, etc., etc. Nothing really groundbreaking here, but there are a few things that were pointed out or sort of confirmed that I think is worth mentioning here on a video. So first of all, they've said that the starter decks, the 3 starter decks that come out with the first chapter, are going to be made up of about 20 unique cards. Now, before you all run away, let me explain what I mean by unique. These cards are going to be available in regular booster packs. There is no card that is not available to pull out of the regular set, out of a regular booster pack that you buy off the shelf in Target or Walmart, or buy out of a box at a game store. Okay? What I mean by 20 unique cards is that the deck will be made up of play sets of 2 or 3 of each of the 20 cards to make up a 60 card deck. What I imagine we're going to most likely see is play sets of 4 or 3 of some of the more common and uncommon stuff, a couple of play sets of 2 of the mid-tier rarities, and then probably 1 of each of the art that are on the box, so the legendary and the super rare that is on the box. I'm pretty sure that's how that's going to go. What this does mean is it's kind of following how Bandai does their starter decks, in that you can buy 2 of a starter deck and most likely get a play set of most of the stuff in the set for moving forward in deck building. Pretty standard way to do it, and pretty solid way of doing it, in my opinion. So about the booster packs then, they reconfirmed that we're going to see a mix of commons, uncommons, and then there are 2 slots that contain rare or higher, and then a 3rd slot that contains a foil. So the main thing that was confirmed here is that the slots are locked, and what I mean by that is that both slots for the rarity, for the rare slot, can have a rare, a super rare, and a legendary in. If one of them has a legendary, it doesn't necessarily mean that the other one is only going to be rare. And then the 3rd foil slot can also be of any rarity, and every single card in the set is going to be available as a foil. So basically it means a few things. It means your legendary foils are going to be probably crazy rare. It also means that there is the possibility of the God pack pulling 3 legendaries out of it. One thing I was slightly concerned about with the 2 rare slots is that maybe one of them is limited to rare and the other one can then be higher, or maybe one of them was limited to rare and super and the 3rd one could go into legendary. It doesn't seem that way. It does seem that each of those slots is a random choice from rare, super rare, and legendary. Obviously they're going to be weighted because there are more rares and super rares than there will be legendaries. I don't know. I mean, obviously they didn't mention any sort of false weighting there, but chances are you're probably going to see a rare and then a super rare or a legendary in a pack, I would imagine. The foil can be anything. It does mean that the legendary foils are going to be the real chase cards of the set, but otherwise still possible 3 legendary packs is really great to hear, even if it's going to be very few and far between. Talking of chase cards, they've still not mentioned anything about alt arts, extended arts, full arts, that kind of thing. 2 or 3 things could happen here. 1, there could not be any, and the chase cards in the set are going to be the foils and those 4 legendaries. And I'm kind of okay if that's how it goes, honestly. It does mean that they're starting at a very low floor with the possibility to ramp up this sort of stuff into future sets, and that's fine. That gives them a real good sort of push on set 3 or 4. Oh, we're bringing in full arts, we're bringing in extended arts, that kind of thing. They've also said that they're never going to have a reserved list, or at least they're not planning on having any sort of reserved list, meaning that any of the cards can get reprinted in later sets. So it does mean that maybe set 4, set 5, set 6, we might see a full art or extended art or alt art Brave Little Tailor, for instance, get thrown in as one of them, again, which sounds great as far as I'm concerned. Or the other option is that we are going to get alt arts or foil art or extendeds or whatever, and they're keeping it secret and they're not going to mention it until we get them, and then it'll be a rigged chase for them, and that's fine as well, I guess. Either way, I don't really mind. I would like to see some form of alternate art treatment on some of the cards. because it helps bring the cost of the regular cards down a little, because it makes those expensive ones, the chase ones, be the more expensive ones. So I would like to see them, but if we don't to start off with, I don't think that's an awful thing either. Regarding the launch of the game, they've decided against doing a first edition launch, and they're just going to be an unlimited print run for launch. That's fine by me. A lot of people are moaning that this isn't great for collectors, and I don't think that's fair. What it's not great for is hoarders and investors, and those people can go and buy stock for all I'm concerned. This is a trading card game. It's for opening and playing games with. If you're a collector, you're going to be able to collect the set and fill it out. You're going to be able to collect boxes, keep them nice. They're always going to be worth value, I'm pretty sure, just because they've just got Disney written on the box. It does mean that people can't hoard that first print, and slowly trickle them out in 5 or 10 years when they want to. So I'm more than fine with that being a limited print run. They've said that obviously game stores are going to be getting these set 2 weeks early. We already do that. They have confirmed that that's going to be the case for the first 6 sets, the first 18 months. Game stores are going to be able to receive it 2 weeks before big box stores, which is fantastic. I mean, obviously, I'd like it to be a thing that they do indefinitely, but I'm more than happy for them to say, let's do the first 6 months like that, and then we'll reevaluate from there. That's fine. It's fine that they're not tying themselves down to anything like this. They've also said that they hope that places like Target and Walmart honor the release date. Obviously, they're not known to. This was something that they've done with Keyforge before, that game stores got it early, but then big box stores just threw the stuff out as soon as they got it. They can try and put things like contracts into place for stuff like this. The problem is with people like Target and Walmart is if they do put the stuff out early and then the company complain, Target and Walmart are big enough to go, all right, well, we won't sell it then. And then suddenly, they're breaking down one of the big sort of distribution pillars for them. So they kind of have to, unfortunately, jump as high as Walmart and Target tell them to. But there are things that they can do. They can ship it out separately, right? So they can say the game comes out on August the 18th. They can ship it to game stores on the 16th. And then they can ship it out to Target and Walmart on the 28th, 29th. Even if they throw it out as soon as they get it, the game stores have still had a good week and a half with the product to do what they need to do with it. So, there are ways around it. If everything goes out on September 17th and they're expecting Walmarts and Targets to sit with it for 2 weeks in their warehouse, it just isn't going to happen. So that's what they really need to do there, is actually sort of ship it separately. And even though that will increase shipping costs, I think it's the only way to go to really guarantee that game stores get this 2 weeks earlier. This is something I'm going to be speaking to them about very soon, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be at a game store event that I'm going to in a few weeks. As far as print run goes, they have said that they underestimated the original demand, which seems silly to say now, but early on it is difficult to really know how something like this is going to hit the public zeitgeist. Obviously, it does seem like Lorcana is going to be a big hit out the gate. Obviously, a year or 2 or 3, it's really going to depend on how the game plays and how they can really settle themselves into the trading card game space. But to start off with, it's going to sell like hotcakes. They are increasing production. And they are going to be pushing product out in waves, so that it isn't just going to be everything from the first chapter and then you don't see anything ever again. They're going to try and stagger it so that stuff gets into stores and gets onto shelves. It's very tricky to do. I will honestly say that as soon as allocations are known by game stores, you try and get yourself a box or two, because this is just going to sell out everywhere. I'm really sure about that. I'm not trying to scaremonger you into stuff. I'm not personally going to be putting up my store's details for you to buy from me, because we are at our heart a local game store, and we are going to be putting our product into local people's hands. Okay, very sure we're not going to get as much product as we want, and all the product we do get is going to be dished out to our regular players who come in and our regular supporters of the store. We're not going to be shipping out product. So I'm not saying this in an attempt to make money, okay? I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to sell all of the stuff I get to the folks who come out and play card games in our store, and to the families who have shown interest in the game. That we have board game nights, and a lot of the board game families have come and said that they're interested in this game. That's who my Lorcana is going to. I'm not saying this in an attempt to get you all to go down and pre-order in my store. But I will say this again, this is not going to be available. This will sell out very quickly. So if you want some, find a store that you trust. Once we know what allocations look like, and put your name down. Again, once we know allocations, maybe even look at putting some money down to guarantee yourself a spot. But do it with a store that you trust, a store that you are comfortable with, and a store that has a good reputation. And get yourself some products, because I genuinely think this is just gonna fly out, and it's just not going to be available. They mentioned the OP kits a little bit. They are going to be free to stores that have signed up up with them, and the sign up process is going to be opening up very soon. That's very exciting. I will be talking a little bit more about that because we will be going through that process, hopefully. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the time. The OP kits are going to be free. The promotional kits are going to be free for all stores that go through the process, which is fantastic. Really good to hear. Maybe surprising to some that I'm impressed that it's free. A lot of games aren't. Magic the Gathering's prize support is free as long as you have a Wizards account with them, a premium account. But Bandai, all of those we pay for. Dragon Ball we pay for. One Piece, Digimon, we have to pay for the kits, which is fine while we have people coming out. But as the it gets tricky to sometimes warrant purchasing that kit if we don't necessarily know we're going to be able to get our money's worth out of it and to get our return back on it. So the fact that this is going to be free means we're much more likely to really get involved with it and really try and push it and get it out to people. So that's great news. They've also said that whilst the OP kit is going to be built around league play and about supporting people who are just sort of coming out, enjoying the game, sharing the game with people, bringing new folks in, they were very adamant to say that they know that game store owners and game store managers understand their audience better than they do, and if tournament play is actually going to be what gets people interested, then you are more than welcome to use the pricing towards tournament play as well, which again is great news. The fact that they're sort of putting that into our hands and letting us deal with it as best as we like, that's awesome. Organized play is going to be dealt with in-house at Ravensburger. They have a department for it, and there's going to be digital support for it as well. All great news. Once we get some more specifics, if it's something that I think will interest you folks, I'll definitely be covering it here on the channel. The last big one, I think, is that they've said that the set boosters, the booster boxes, are going to have a cardboard tearaway rather than being shrink wrapped in plastic. Trying to think of stuff that I can show you that has this. Hold on. Okay, this is super random. I don't have any card products, but I do have some chicken nuggies because I've got kids staying with me this week, and chicken nuggies are the best. But here, look, where there's like a pull tab that you pull and like it tears it open and opens the box. That's what I'm talking about. They call them zip ties sometimes, but that's the plastic thing. But yeah, cardboard pulleys to open boxes. They're doing that. Putting them back in the freezer. Why am I excited about that? Well, first of all, it's just a little bit better for the environment, so that's great, I guess. It's probably a little cheaper as well, so well done Ravensburger for saving some money there. The main reason I'm excited about it is if those chicken nuggets were shrink wrapped, as in like plastic heated around them, like a lot of products are, I would be able to buy them, take them home, tear off the shrink wrapping, open them up, take out the best nuggets and replace them with not so good nuggets, then close the box back up and then put them into a shrink wrap machine. These are not expensive pieces of kit. We have one at the store. It cost us a couple of $100. We use it to shrink wrap pre-owned games that we resell, or to sometimes just re-shrink wrap something that's come in where the shrink wrap has already been torn in the distribution, Like, we use it for very legitimate reasons, but people can use them for untoward reasons. And this is one of the big reasons why I say never buy Amazon never buy trading card product from Amazon. Not because I really have a problem with Amazon myself. I mean, obviously all big businesses are pretty awful, but I get stuff off Amazon and it's not really a problem. But trading card game stuff specifically, what happens is people will buy the product, open it up, open packs in a set booster box until they get a couple of big hits, until they hit the mythics, that sort of thing. Then they'll replace them with other packs from the last box they did with this, seal them back up, and then return them saying that they no longer want them. It's very easy to do. It's very cost effective to do if you're doing this in large quantities. And what it will often mean is that you can buy product from Amazon and it be a returned as new product that you get resold and it's full of junk. So just that little bit of cardboard being teared open makes it much more difficult to do that. I imagine there's probably still ways of opening cardboard boxes without damaging them much. Maybe like steaming them open or something. I don't know. But it's much trickier to do than just plastic shrink wrap. So it's very exciting to see. That's about it, I think. The only last thing they said was it's okay to use multiple languages in a deck. That doesn't really something that affects me, but that's cool, I guess. Especially probably people in Europe, they can probably buy different cards from all over the place, shuffle them together, and it all works. That's great. Okay, new cards. So 3 new cards, and these were shown in a little video from I believe it was the Illumineers. Liam from the Illumineers is at GAMA, or it might have been Dan from the Citizens of Lorcana podcast. Either way, they've both covered the event fantastically, as has Jared and James. There's been a few folks there, so I'll put a link in the description to all of their social media Attendees, so you can go and check all this stuff out firsthand. But there was an awesome video. I'm not going to show it here. You should go and watch the video. I'll link to it down below. But they have these really gorgeous foils. They've gone for cold press foiling, which is fantastic. It's a really classy foiling process. It really limits the bending of the cards, the pringling as it's known as, and just all round just a real nice finish. Very different to the D23 foils that were full holographic foiling. I think maybe in the future we might see holographic foiling be brought in as an alternate treatment, but for now it looks like the main set is going to have cold press foiling, and that's great. I think it looks gorgeous. Flesh and Blood were arguably the first ones to do it a lot. They could have brought it really to the market. Magic now does it on some of their alternate arts, and other games I'm pretty sure have started it as well, but it's a much more subtle foiling, a much classier foiling in my opinion, but also it just stops those cards buckling as much as they do with other foiling processes, so it's really, really nice to see. But yes, that's where we saw these cards. It was just a little video of, I think it was Ryan sort of sharing them out to people, which is awesome. But here we go. We have a 2-costed inkable action song in amber called Be Our Guest. This is fantastic. We had seen the art for this, I think, on the website somewhere, but here it is. It's an action song, so it can be sung for 2 by having a character of 2 power, 2 cost exert themselves for it. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a character card and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So it's just a little bit of filtering. It's pretty solid. One thing is card filtering, card draw is still one of the things we're struggling with in the game. I haven't actually been playtesting since we've got like the Dr. Felicé stuff the other day with the Friends on the Other Side. That's really good card draw, so that probably will have helped, but it's good to see every colour, I hope at least every colour, get a little bit of this in some way or another, whether it just be filtering or whether it be full-on card draw. But otherwise, that's really good. It's basically a go and get a card for free if you have something something else out that can exert themselves to sing this. Otherwise, really good. So a solid card, and it's an uncommon rarity as well, which is great. The other 2, though, are really, really superb. We have a 6-costed inkable 2/7 for 2 lore in steel with Mickey Mouse Musketeer. He is a Dreamborn hero Musketeer, and he has the ability Bodyguard, meaning characters have to attack into him before they can attack into anything else. And also, all for one, your other Musketeer characters get +1 strength. This is good. This is really good. It's a 2/7. A Bodyguard with a huge butt is just great. It's probably going to take 2 or 3 things challenging into this to kill it for the most part. And, you know, it's going to most likely have 2 strength, maybe 3, 4 strength if you build around this. I'm hoping we see Goofy Musketeer, Donald Duck Musketeer, all those kind of things in the set as well. So you can really build a real steel powerhouse around this. And also, like 2 lore as well. Like, he's really good. So you can have him exerted. He can come out exerted with Bodyguard, and that's fine. But from then on, you can just quest with this guy for 2 lore, and then he also gets that Bodyguard trigger. Like, this is just a really solid card. As much as I love Sorcerer Mickey, Wayward Sorcerer, because I love the idea of brooms, until we see more brooms, it's going to be difficult to really judge that card. But this one is just superb. This is easily the Mickey that I want to play with. We've now seen a full cycle of Mickeys. We have one in every colour, and that's really awesome and totally expected and great. And maybe every set will see a cycle of Mickeys. That's totally cool with me. But this is the first one I've really seen that's made me go, holy crap, I need a play set of 4 of those. And it's rare as well, so it's not even going to be that unobtainable, I don't think. And then lastly, we have a 3-costed inkable action in Emerald. The Beast is Mine. Chosen character gains Reckless during their next turn. They can't quest and must challenge if possible. Oh, this is amazing. It's been a while since we've seen an Emerald card, so that's always great. But this is a really good one, I think. Maybe it's not quite as good as I think it is. We have to talk about this. So, first of all, Reckless. New keyword, basically meaning that they can't quest and they have to challenge. So, it's similar to like a goad ability in Magic or something like that, where you're just forcing a character to do something they necessarily don't want to do, and maybe isn't in their best interests to do. Couple of things interesting. One thing I haven't heard people really talk about, character gains Reckless, as opposed to like for instance, goad in Magic, the terminology would be goad target character. Make this character go and attack. But here, the fact that it gains Reckless suggests that Reckless is a static keyword that can exist on a body without this card. So we might see perhaps Emerald, perhaps Steel cards, perhaps Ruby cards maybe. I don't know, aggressive cards that always have Reckless. So they're huge bodies, but their downside is that they have to challenge, and they're just there to kind of start picking things off on the board. I could totally see that being a thing. So that's worth noting, I think. Reckless may well be a keyword that we just see on a card. A card comes with Reckless. But still, they can't quest and they must challenge if able. So we can break that down into two parts. They can't quest. Simple as that. That's pretty fair. Very similar to the Frying Pan. No, Frying Pan is they can't challenge. But again, there's no real argument about how this works, okay? That card there, I choose that card there, it can't quest on your turn. There's no real... I can't really see of another way that can be read or how that works. That's fine. The second bit is the bit that there's a little bit of contention about. Must challenge if able. Now, the reason this is tricky is because there isn't really a challenge mode in the game. There isn't a challenge zone, there isn't a challenge area, there isn't a challenge sort of sequence. You can challenge at any point in your turn whenever you see fit. Sometimes it'd be more beneficial to play a card and then challenge, or sometimes it would be beneficial to challenge and then quest, or quest and then challenge, or challenge and then play a card, depending on the cards in your hand and what your deck's trying to do. One of the real key points of the game is deciding the order of operations and how stuff on your turn is going to play out. The reason that's interesting is because, again, referring to Goad in Magic, because I think it's a relatively similar thing and it's worth mentioning. Goad in Magic, combat has a phase. You have your main phase where you can do stuff, then you go to combat, then you go past combat, and then you have another main phase. Even if you don't swing anything, even if you don't attack at all, there is still that combat phase that happens for any triggers that say at the beginning of combat something happens, at the end of combat something happens. Those still things have to happen. So if your character is goaded in that it has to attack during the combat phase, in your main phase before combat you can do stuff to that creature so that it can't attack. You can tap it, it's the same as exerting in Lorcana. You can tap it to a resource. There might be a card that says tap a creature to do ... or tap 3 creatures to do whatever. So you can tap it, do the ability, then when it comes to combat, it checks to see if it's goaded. It is goaded. Can it attack? No, it can't, because it's tapped, and that's a way of getting out of the goad. Now, I think that's how Reckless in Lorcana should work, in as much as before you declare attackers, before you declare challengers, you can maybe exert the card that's been targeted with the Beast is Mine to sing a song, for instance. If it's been there since the last turn, obviously, because they were able to choose it for the card, so it's been there enough to be able to sing. I sing out of the part of your world with this card, then I come to the end of my turn, and then it checks before the end of your turn. That's Reckless. Has it attacked? Has it challenged? It's really hard to get those ones the right way around. Has it challenged? No. Can it challenge? No, it can't, because it's exerted. Move along. Personally, that's how I think it should play out. That feels like I've explained that more complicated than I had to, and I apologize. But what I'm trying to say is you have the chance to remove the Reckless from this card by exerting it from another means, whether you could sing with it. I think that's probably the only thing we've seen so far, really. Once a body's on the board, obviously there are ways to bring out cards exerted with things like Styx Rotstar or if it had Bodyguard, for instance. But if it's already on the board, so far I think the only way to exert it, other than questing, which Reckless specifically says you can't do, and challenging, which you might not want to do, I think the only other solution is being able to sing. I'm more than happy it works like this. I think every ability in the game should have a counter ability or a counter play, and being able to say I sing with it instead, and therefore it can no longer challenge by the end of the turn. That to me is how this runs out. At time of recording, we don't have an actual answer on this. We're trying to get one from the developers, but that's how I would play it. Even still, ignoring Reckless, just being able to say that character can't quest next turn is a pretty strong ability. One of the big sort of design flaws of the game so far, and again, I purely think this is down to a limited card pool, but one of the big problems with the game so far is that it's very easy to pillow fort, just play lots of characters and hold your ground until you're able to just quest everything and get like 10 lore. So being able to just specifically state, yeah, you can't quest with that one. It might be that one thing that just gives you that extra turn to get back into the game, and that's really exciting stuff. 3 awesome cards. I especially think the Emerald and the Steel are both absolute fantastic cards. There is an Emerald Steel deck that's just bubbling up that's going to be, I'm going to sit here and quest, you do something about it. And I really love that style of play. That Pillow 40 play is definitely something I can get behind here. I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to quest, I've got bodyguards that you have to deal with, I've got Cheshire Cat that you don't want to kill, I've got Cruella de Vil that you don't want to kill, I'm going to your big combo piece there, yep, that's going to get Beastie's Mind, and you're going to then have to swing into one of my bodyguards, you're going to have to swing into my Cruella, you're going to have to deal with the problem. Oh, I'm there for it. I think it's going to be a really fun archetype. Not what I expected from Emerald. You definitely imagine green to be the growth, to be the rampy kind of deck, but I don't think it is. I think it's more green. I think it's more like poisony, infecty kind of deck. I think it's the nasty color almost. It's going to be the one that just sits back, just quests and quests, and you have to deal with it, else I'm going to run away with the game, and that for me is very exciting. GAMA is still going on for a couple of days, although the game nights have finished now, so I'm not expecting loads of new announcements from the rest of the convention. If you're there, I hope you have a fantastic time while you're watching this. If you're there, you won't be. But yeah, if there's anything else revealed, we will cover it here on the channel. After that, this weekend I do have a distributor day. One of the large distributors in Canada puts on an annual event that is it's kind of like a mini convention, and I'm pretty sure Lorcana is going to be there. I maybe dreamt it, but I'm pretty sure they said that Ravensburger is going to be there. I imagine it's definitely going to be a repeat of what we just saw at GAMA. I don't expect anything new from there, but hopefully if I do get to see anything, obviously I will be sharing it here as soon as I can, as long as I'm not under any sort of NDA or anything. But again, everything's been pretty open at these events so far, so I can't see that being a problem either. Thank you so much for watching. I've raced through this one. It's probably going to be a little long. It looks like my battery's going to go as well. Love you all to bits. Till the next one, be good.